So I'm a social anthropologist, and I'm interested in the way sports has been used to promote globalization and how globalization itself has made use of sports for the achievement of further goals. You may have heard that participation in sports is more than winning. Well, if you did, then you are perhaps also familiar with Olympism. Olympism is the name of a philosophy of life envisioned by Pierre de Coubertin, who placed sports into the service of quite high-flying humanist goals such as international goodwill, world peace, and mutual respect. If that is completely new to you, you probably never received Olympic education. Ever since corruption, bribery, doping, and other scandals have stained the public face of the Olympic movement, the IOC has been keen on requiring host candidates to outline educational programs for the promotion of a healthy lifestyle, as well as Olympism as a way of life based on the joy of effort, the educational value of good example, social responsibility, and respect for universal fundamental ethical principles. The Japanese government has been investing heavily in the propagation of Olympism, but, and that's the main gist of my chapter, for purposes of its own that are partially at odds with the original ideas. My chapter demonstrates how curricular tie-ins between the upcoming Olympics and Japanese school education in the lead up to Tokyo 2020 weave together typical Japanese school values of cleanliness, responsibility, and patriotism with Olympic themes of volunteerism, achievement orientation, and diversity. Educational programs have reached out to most of Japanese pupils, college students, and preschool children over the past 3-4 years, and a closer look at them reveal how Japanese officials envision linking the 2020 Olympics with the shaping of its own future citizens. As a scholar of globalization, I have been dealing with sports for the larger part of my academic career. My first book in that field, now published 25 years ago, was a social history of alpine climbing in Japan, and my very last one, published in 2014, Sport and Body Politics in Japan, is a collection of various research projects I've been conducting in the years in between, covering areas such as the institutionalization of sports in late nation states, how sport and gender are acted out in the Japanese classroom, how the current state of sports supply in Japan has been transformed from a public good to a commodity, the challenges of the aged society in Japan and what role sport is playing in that regard, the Japanese obesity crisis, the political economy of sports mega events, and the global game in the service of Japan's foreign diplomacy, sports and soft power, and also about the way how Japan is making use of Asia for the new international division of sport apparel labor. My projects about 20 years ago look at the introduction of professional football in Japan and the 2002 World Cup co-hosted by Japan and South Korea also inspired me to have a closer look at the way how the global game of football was introduced to baseball nation Japan, how it was adapted and transformed in the 25 years of its professional career in the country. The Football World Cup was also the occasion at which I developed a keen interest in the cultural form of the sport mega events, on which I published a number of papers and a widely quoted introductory text together with sport sociologist John Horn, currently professor at Waseda University in Tokyo, and without doubt one of the most acknowledged researchers on the Olympic Games alive. So when my sports monograph on sport and body politics in Japan was published in 2014, I thought of it as an epitome of my career as sports researcher, since I was already moving into new terrains of transnationalism, the square Japanese diaspora in South America and back home, and more recently into the ethnography of rural happiness. Sports indeed may be of significance for both topics as a marker of cultural origin, belonging, social progress, and collective identity. Japanese Bolivians in the colonies in Santa Cruz may cheer for either the national team of ancestorship or citizenship, or for both. And in regional Japan, the establishment of professional football teams has always been built on hopes in regards to the integrative and emotional power of spectator sports, all for the purpose of rural revitalization. So this is currently what I'm working on. Sport may be of significance, but actually my focus has moved on to different fields. The impact of the postponement or cancellation of the Tokyo 2020 Games on Olympic education, the promotion of healthy lifestyles, sports participation rates, and the teaching of Olympic values is certainly immense. Textbooks that entered the market in spring only and featured references to the games in subject areas as diverse as language education, mathematics, and society have to be rewritten already by now. By contrast, preventive measures against the spread of epidemic diseases have been added to the subject of physical education. But PE classes and sport events have been severely scaled down or completely stalled. Sport facilities are closed down. The Japanese Olympic Committee's very own Olympic classroom educational program has been stopped for the first half of the school year and may remain stopped after revisions in August. The most significant impact of the postponement, however, is expected in the field of sports finances. In the previous years, Japan's sport budget has been skewed towards financing the games, the build-up of the sports infrastructure, and the promotion of elite athletes, all to the detriment of amateur sports for the young and old. With the question open, who is going to cover the additional expenses, the dire situation of financing public sports is likely to become ever more severe.